You don't need to look far to see this truth in action. Just take a moment and think about the words you've been speaking over your own life. What have you been telling yourself? What have you been declaring, whether out loud or in the quiet spaces of your mind? Because whether you realize it or not, your words are constructing the framework of your future. Imagine your words as bricks in the foundation of your life. Every time you speak something, you're placing another brick. You're either building a strong structure that can withstand storms, or you're setting yourself up for collapse before you even get started. Some people wonder why things never change for them, why they always seem stuck in the same cycles, facing the same struggles. But if you look at we live in a world where people are constantly questioning their worth, their abilities, and their purpose. Every single day, someone is battling thoughts of insecurity, fear, and self-doubt. And often they don't need another reason to feel small. They already feel like they don't measure up. But do you know what has the power to shift that? Your words. The things you say over someone's life, whether positive or negative, are shaping what they believe about themselves. Some of us don't even realize how powerful our words are when it comes to the people around us. A single sentence can push someone toward their destiny, or it can hold them hostage in their fear. A single word can give someone the confidence to step forward or the doubt to step back. You don't know how many people are one encouraging word away from breaking through what's been holding them back. You don't know how many people are walking around with a dream in their heart, a purpose in their soul, but they don't have the courage to believe in it until someone speaks life into them. Think about the most defining moments in your life, the moments when you felt like you weren't enough, when you felt like you were on the edge of giving up. What was it that helped pull you through? For many of us, it was someone's words. Maybe it was a teacher who told you that you had potential when you didn't see it. Maybe it was a friend who reminded you that you had strength when you felt weak. Maybe it was a parent or a mentor who kept speaking purpose over you, even when you doubted yourself. But here's the thing, just as someone's words had the power to lift you up, your words have the power to do the same for someone else. There are people in your life right now who are struggling to believe in themselves, but your words could be the confirmation they need to keep going. There are people who have heard nothing but negativity their entire lives, and one sentence from you could challenge everything they thought was true about them. You have the ability to be a voice of faith, hope, and encouragement in someone's life. But the question is, what are you speaking? Are you speaking words that help people see their potential? Or are you speaking words that keep them stuck in their insecurities? Are you the kind of person who builds others up, or are you the kind of person who tears them down? Some of us don't even realize that we've been careless with our words, throwing them around without thinking about how they land. But words aren't weightless. They carry impact. They stay with people long after the conversation is over. There are people walking around today still carrying the weight of words that were spoken over them years ago. Words like, you'll never be good enough. Words like, you're just not that smart. Words like, you'll never succeed. And the sad truth is, some of them have started to believe it, not because it was true, but because it was repeated, because it was said by someone they trusted, because it came from a voice that held authority in their life. That's why we can't afford to be careless with what we speak over others. If our words have the power to plant seeds of doubt, they also have the power to plant seeds of destiny. If our words can hold people back, they can also push people forward. If our words can break people down, they can also build people up. Maybe you've been speaking encouragement over others and haven't seen the results yet. Maybe you've been trying to lift someone up, but they're still stuck in their old way of thinking. Don't stop speaking life. Don't stop speaking faith, because even when it looks like nothing is changing, your words are doing more than you realize. You are planting something inside of them that will take root in its time. You may not see the impact right away, but trust that every time you speak life, something is shifting inside them. The reality is, some people don't believe in themselves because no one has ever told them they could. They don't see potential in themselves because no one ever spoke it over them. They've spent their whole lives hearing what they're not instead of what they are. But what if you were the voice that changed that? What if you were the one who told them you have what it takes? What if you were the one who reminded them you are more than enough? What if you were the one who refused to let them settle for a lie when you saw the truth in them? Your words hold power. Your words shape people. Your words have the ability to lift someone out of their doubt, their fear, their hesitation, and call them into their true identity. You have no idea how much weight your voice carries in someone else's life. You have no idea what kind of breakthrough could be waiting on the other side of your encouragement. Because what you speak over others doesn't just affect them, it affects you too. When you start speaking life, you begin to live in an environment where life thrives. When you start speaking possibility, you become the kind of person who sees possibility. When you start speaking faith, your own faith begins to grow. Because the truth is, the words you speak don't just shape the people around you, they shape the person you're becoming. So choose to be a builder, choose to be an encourager, choose to be the person who sees potential, who calls it out, who speaks truth, life, and hope into every person you meet. Because what you speak over others shapes their belief. And what you speak over them today might be the very thing that helps them walk into their destiny tomorrow. If you say something long enough, it starts to shape how you see yourself. If you tell yourself, I always mess things up, you'll start walking around expecting failure. If you keep saying, I'm not smart enough, you'll begin to shrink back from opportunities where you could actually thrive. Words are more than just sounds coming out of your mouth. They are identities you put on. Some people have spent years wearing labels that never belonged to them, not because they were true, but because they were repeated so many times that they became familiar. Maybe it started with something small. Someone called you lazy once and you laughed it off. But then when you didn't feel motivated, that word came back to you. You started repeating it in your mind. Maybe I am lazy. And over time, without even realizing it, that label attached itself to you and you started making decisions based on it. That's how powerful words are. They don't just describe things, they define things. And if you're not careful, you'll let them define you in ways that were never meant to be permanent. Some people are walking around today with labels like failure or not good enough or unworthy. Not because they are those things, but because at some point they accepted those words as truth. Think about the voices you've allowed to speak over your life. Were they voices of encouragement or voices of limitation? Did they tell you what you could do, or did they constantly remind you of what you couldn't do? Sometimes the most damaging words don't come from enemies. They come from the people we trust the most. Parents, teachers, coaches, friends, even ourselves. People who meant well, but spoke without realizing the weight of what they were saying. Maybe someone told you as a child, you're just not that talented. And without meaning to, you took that statement and made it a fact in your life. So now, every time an opportunity comes, you dismiss yourself before you even try. Maybe someone told you you're too emotional, so now you suppress your feelings because you don't want to be seen as weak. Maybe someone said you'll never make it, and that phrase still echoes in your mind every time you're about to step into something new. But here's the truth. Just because something was spoken over you doesn't mean you have to accept it. Just because someone labeled you doesn't mean you have to wear it for life. You have the power to reject words that don't align with who you really are. You don't have to keep repeating words that keep you stuck. You don't have to keep living under labels that limit you. You can replace them with truth. Instead of saying, I always fail, you start saying, I am learning and growing. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, you say, I have everything I need to succeed. Instead of saying, I'm stuck, you say, I am moving forward. Because when you change your words, you change your mindset. And when you change your mindset, you change your actions. And when you change your actions, you change your life. Some of you have been waiting for things to shift in your life, but nothing changes until your words change. You can't walk into confidence while still speaking insecurity. You can't step into boldness while still declaring doubt. You can't live in freedom while still repeating words that keep you in bondage. Your words are setting the course for your future, so be intentional about what you speak over yourself. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can either speak words that build you up or words that break you down. You can either repeat truth or keep replaying the lies that were spoken over you, but you can't do both. There's a reason why some people never break free from the things that hold them back. It's because they're still speaking the same words that put them there in the first place. But the moment you start speaking something different, the moment you start declaring new words, the moment you start aligning your speech with where you want to go, that's when transformation begins. It doesn't mean everything changes overnight, but it means you're no longer reinforcing the old story. It means you're no longer agreeing with things that don't serve your purpose. It means you're stepping into a new way of thinking, a new way of speaking, a new way of believing. And when you shift your language, you shift your entire life. There's a power in silence that most people underestimate. While we often focus on the words we speak and how they affect our lives, we don't always recognize the strength of what we don't say. Sometimes the most powerful words are the ones left unsaid, the things we choose to hold back, the silence that speaks volumes. In today's world, we've become conditioned to think that if we don't express every thought or opinion that crosses our mind, we're missing an opportunity or failing to make our voices heard. But there's wisdom in knowing that not every moment requires a response, not every situation needs a word, and not every argument needs to be won. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to hold your tongue and remain silent. Think about a time when you were in the midst of an argument or heated conversation. Maybe you had something to say and it felt so urgent, like you had to get it off your chest. But something inside you told you to pause. And in that pause, you felt the tension release. You didn't say what you were thinking, and the situation didn't escalate. In fact, your silence might have been the calm in the storm, the moment of clarity that allowed you to regain control of your emotions. What if the real power in your life is not about speaking your mind at all costs, but about knowing when to be still? Sometimes not saying anything is the key to keeping your peace. It's the moment when your emotions are high, but you choose not to let your anger or frustration dictate your actions. Instead of snapping back with hurtful words that you might regret later, you take a step back and choose wisdom over reaction. There's a saying that goes, "Silence speaks louder than words." It's true in so many areas of life. Silence can be a form of strength, a symbol of self-control, and even an expression of compassion. When we speak too much, we can inadvertently say things that damage relationships, create misunderstandings, or leave lasting scars on the people we care about. But when we hold our words back, we give ourselves the space to respond with grace instead of reacting in haste. Sometimes, silence is the best way to protect yourself and others. Words, once spoken, can never be unsaid. You can apologize, you can explain, you can try to take back what was said, but the damage may still linger. But when you choose silence, you have the opportunity to reflect, to process, and to find a more thoughtful response. You preserve relationships that might otherwise have been hurt by careless words. In relationships, communication isn't always about what's said. It's also about what's left unspoken. The way you choose to listen, the pauses you give, the moments of quiet reflection can convey so much more than a constant stream of chatter. In fact, sometimes not speaking is the most meaningful way to show you're fully present. Instead of offering advice or trying to fix a situation, sometimes all someone needs is to feel heard. They need to know that you're willing to sit with them in silence, that you're there for them without needing to say anything. That silence is a form of support, a way of showing love without saying a word. Even in your own personal growth, silence can be a powerful tool. When you're facing challenges, sometimes the loudest voices in your mind are the negative thoughts that tell you you're not enough, that you can't do it, or that you'll never change. These voices are often loudest when you're struggling, when you feel insecure, or when things are not going well. But the most powerful response to those voices is not to fight them with more words. It's to embrace the quiet, to shut out the noise, and simply let your inner peace speak. It's in the silence that we often find clarity. It's when we quiet the external noise that we can hear what's truly important, and it's in those moments of stillness that we can hear our own heart. Sometimes the most profound words are those that come from within, when we give ourselves space to reflect, to breathe, and to listen to our deeper truths. The silence is where transformation happens. It's where you move from reaction to reflection, from anger to peace, from confusion to understanding. There's also power in what you don't say to yourself. The negative self-talk, the constant criticism, the harsh words you speak in your mind, those things are destructive. But what if, instead of continuing the cycle of self-doubt and harsh judgment, you chose silence in your thoughts? What if you stopped the barrage of negativity and gave yourself the gift of quiet? In that space, you can hear the voice of grace, the voice of encouragement, the voice that tells you you are enough. In that silence, you have the chance to transform your inner dialogue into something empowering instead of limiting. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you have the strength to hold your peace. It means you have the discernment to know when words aren't necessary, when they will only add fuel to the fire. It means you're mature enough to recognize that sometimes less is more, and that sometimes the most profound truths are spoken without saying a word. There will be days when you don't feel like being positive, when the weight of life's challenges feels too heavy to bear. On those days, it's easy to fall into the trap of negativity, to let doubt and despair take over, to focus on everything that's wrong instead of everything that's right. But here's the thing. Speaking life into your situation isn't always about feeling it. It's about choosing to speak the words that will shape your reality, even when your emotions are pulling you in the opposite direction. There will be moments when you feel like giving up, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, when the path ahead is unclear. And in those moments, it's easy to look around and say, this is too much. I can't do it. Things will never change. But here's what you need to remember. What you speak over your situation matters. Your words have the power to set the direction of your life. They can either keep you stuck in a cycle of defeat or push you toward a future of possibility and hope. It's not always easy to speak life when everything feels like it's falling apart, but here's the secret. Your feelings don't dictate your destiny. Just because you feel defeated doesn't mean you are defeated. Just because you're facing obstacles doesn't mean you won't overcome them. Your emotions are real, but they don't have to control your narrative. You have the power to choose what words come out of your mouth. And those words have the ability to shift your mindset, to change your circumstances, and to reshape your future. When you don't feel it, that's when it matters the most. Speaking life when you're discouraged is a declaration of faith. It's a choice to trust that even in the midst of uncertainty, there is still hope. It's a decision to believe that better days are ahead, even when it feels like nothing is going your way. Faith is not about feeling good all the time. It's about trusting even when things are hard. It's about declaring truth in the face of lies, hope in the face of despair, victory in the face of defeat. There's power in choosing your words carefully, especially in times of struggle. Words like, I can't do this, or this is impossible, might feel true in the moment, but they don't align with the reality of what you're capable of. Instead, try saying, I will get through this. I'm stronger than I think. This situation doesn't define me. I'm not giving up. These words don't require you to feel any particular way. They simply require you to speak truth over what you're facing. Even when you don't feel it, your words can invite change into your life. When you declare, I am resilient, I am capable, I am worthy of success, you are speaking life into your situation, even if it doesn't seem possible at the time. Every time you speak life, you're reinforcing a truth that will eventually catch up with your reality. It's like planting seeds in the ground. You may not see the growth immediately, but if you keep watering those seeds with words of faith and encouragement, eventually you'll see the fruit. Sometimes speaking life is simply about taking one small step at a time. Maybe you don't have the energy to tackle everything at once, but you can speak life into the next step. If you're feeling overwhelmed, say, I can handle today. I don't need to worry about tomorrow. I will take it one step at a time. It might not feel like much, but those small words of encouragement can keep you moving forward even when the road ahead seems daunting. In fact, speaking life is often the key to breaking the cycle of negativity. When you start speaking positivity, even when you don't feel it, you begin to shift your focus from the problems to the possibilities. You start to look for solutions rather than getting stuck in the why me mindset. You start to see opportunities instead of obstacles. And when you keep choosing life over negativity, you will start to notice that your circumstances start to align with your words. And the more you speak life, the more you'll begin to live it. It's important to remember that speaking life doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties you're facing. It doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect or putting on a false smile. It simply means choosing to speak truth over the situation even when the truth doesn't seem visible. It's about refusing to let your current circumstances define who you are and what you're capable of. It's about declaring, I may not see the way forward right now, but I know I will find it. Even when you don't feel it, speak life because your words have the power to shift your mindset. When you speak positivity, even in the darkest moments, you open yourself up to greater possibilities. When you speak encouragement, even when your own spirit feels weak, you allow your faith to take root. Your words are more powerful than you think, so don't wait until you feel it to start speaking life. Speak it into existence and watch how it transforms your world. In those moments when you feel low, when everything seems impossible, don't let your emotions define your future. Speak life, declare your strength, speak faith into your situation, and trust that even when you don't feel it, your words are shaping a better tomorrow. What you speak today will become your reality tomorrow. The way you talk to yourself when no one is around speaks volumes about who you really are and how you will show up in the world. The private conversation you have with yourself, those internal words, are far more powerful than you may realize. Whether you're aware of it or not, the things you say to yourself in the quiet moments when no one is watching shape the way you see the world and the way you present yourself to others. Have you ever had those moments where you look at yourself in the mirror and think, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this? These internal dialogues, even if fleeting, have a direct impact on your confidence, your mindset, and the energy you bring to the table. What you say to yourself influences not just your emotional state, but also the way you interact with the world. It influences how you take on challenges, how you approach opportunities, and how you respond to others. The truth is, the things you whisper to yourself in your private thoughts are the blueprint for your future actions. If you tell yourself that you can't do something, that you're not capable, or that you'll always be stuck in a certain situation, your actions will follow that belief. You will approach life from a place of limitation and fear, and you'll often find yourself avoiding opportunities or backing away from challenges because the self-talk in your private moments tells you it's safer to stay where you are. You become your words. You become the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you are capable of. This is why it's crucial to be intentional with the way you speak to yourself, especially in the private moments when there's no one around to hear it. Your inner dialogue is the most important conversation you'll ever have. It sets the tone for how you show up, not just for yourself, but for everyone else too. When you say things like, I am capable of overcoming this challenge, or I am worthy of success and happiness, your actions begin to align with those beliefs. You start showing up with confidence, with purpose, and with a deep-rooted sense of belief in your own potential. It's easy to think that the way you speak to yourself doesn't matter as long as you don't say those things out loud. But the reality is, what's happening in your mind and heart is far more significant than what you say to others. Your private thoughts shape your public persona, whether you're aware of it or not. When you tell yourself that you're not enough, that you'll never make it, that you don't belong, that's exactly how you'll show up in your interactions with the world. You'll shrink, you'll hesitate, and you'll hold yourself back from stepping into your true potential. On the flip side, when you tell yourself that you are more than capable, when you affirm your worth, when you remind yourself that you have something unique and valuable to offer, you show up in the world as someone who believes in their own strength. You walk into situations with a sense of purpose, with the confidence that comes from knowing your value. Your private dialogue fuels the energy you project into your interactions. And that energy is magnetic. People will begin to respond to you differently. They'll see someone who is clear about their worth and confident in their abilities. But let's be honest, changing the way you speak to yourself isn't easy. It takes practice, consistency, and a willingness to challenge the negative self-talk that's been ingrained in you over the years. We've all been conditioned in one way or another by past experiences, by the people around us, and by the world's standards. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others or of thinking that we're not enough because we don't measure up to some external standard. That's why it's essential to take control of the narrative in your own mind. No one else can dictate what you say to yourself in private. No one else can control how you talk to yourself when the world is quiet. You have the power to rewrite your inner dialogue and replace those old, limiting beliefs with new, empowering truths. What you believe about yourself when no one is watching is what will define you when everyone is looking. Start by paying attention to your thoughts. Notice when they become negative or self-critical. The next time you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, challenge that thought with something positive and true. Say, I am more than enough. I am capable of handling this situation. I am worthy of the opportunities that come my way. It might feel awkward at first, and you might not fully believe it in the beginning, but the more you practice speaking life over yourself in private, the more natural it will become. When you start changing the way you talk to yourself, you begin to show up differently in the world. The energy you carry changes, and that energy becomes contagious. People start to notice the shift in you. the way you stand taller, speak more confidently, and take on challenges with a sense of calm and conviction. What you say to yourself privately is the foundation for how you engage with the world publicly. It's the key to unlocking your true potential and stepping into the life you deserve. In the end, you are the one who decides the narrative you live by. You get to choose how you speak to yourself, and those words will ultimately shape how you show up in every area of your life. Speak with love, speak with grace, and speak with confidence. When you do, you'll notice that the world around you begins to reflect the truth you've chosen to speak to yourself in private.